Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Insurance Town. I'm the Mayor, Heath Shearon, and the host of this podcast. And I'm pumped to here hanging out with you today because I've got a good friend of mine coming to hang out with me in the show. I've known this guy for several years now, and I just really wanted to catch up with him and have him on the show. And so I can't wait for you to hear this. My man, Jamie Pierce from South Africa. And so you're going to love the accent alone. So hang out just for that alone. But outside of that, he provides some really cool content, and I enjoyed the conversation that we just had. So this episode is sponsored by my friends over at Smart Choice, the fastest growing agency network, hands down. And they do it all without annual fees or monthly fees or, commission, split is the way they do things. They do it with higher commission and lower premium thresholds, and they only take a commission split with, the carriers that they bring to the table, not your existing ones. You don't have to bring your entire book under the Smart Choice umbrella, just ones that you need. So if you're looking for one or two, or if you're looking for a whole slew of them, or your startup agency, reach out to Smart Choice. They also have E&S programs. They've got, some really cool opportunities for you to work with them on that level. And man, you're not going to believe it. You just got to reach out, smartchoiceagents.com, and go check it out. Also, my friends over at Canopy Connect, go to usecanopy.com/Heath and get a demo and get a discount. And make sure that you tell them that the mayor sent you. If you don't use that link, if you just end up on usecanopy.com, make sure you tell them that the mayor sent you and you can get a discount there. But what they do is game changer, getting all the information that you need to get a quote. It can be, very taxing. It can be, as they say, it could be like a interrogation is what Ray says and the guys at Canopy Connect. But this takes all that away. They click a button, they give you permission with clicking that button, and you get all their deck pages uploaded into your dashboard. And that includes driver information, loss runs, limits, coverages, all the kind of things that you need. So go to usecanopy.com/Heath. They also have intake platform that we talked about a couple of weeks ago on our webinar. Go check that one out too. All right, guys, I got to get out of the way here so you can check out this conversation with my good friend, Jamie Pierce. Jamie Pierce, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, this, that, and the other, man. How you doing, Heath?
Man, I am good. There's that South African accent. I love it. I absolutely love it, man. It's funny. We were talking a little bit ago, but yeah, I just had someone on the show not too long ago from your neck of the woods that not from there, but loves your neck of the woods, and had a really good conversation, man. And it got me, really interested in researching more about Africa in general. But, she talked about, South Africa, like the whole country or the whole continent, right? Yeah, itself.
Yes.
And I just thought it was super interesting. And so that one was really fun. So it just got me thinking a little bit. And then luckily as it was for me, you reached out and we've, had some good conversations. So I was glad to have you jump in and hang out with me a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, Africa it's a beautiful place to live, man. We've got our issues, but as one of my favorite sayings go is, the more I travel, the more I realize every country has got its stuff and got its problems. So we've got our problems. Other people don't have our problems, but other people have different problems. So that's just life. And we got a really beautiful country with a lot of beautiful people, and we got a beautiful continent. It's a super exciting growth phase for Africa, actually, as we bring a lot of modernization and new tech to the continent.
100%. And it's not like, when I feel like growing up in the 90s, what you hear about Africa is completely different than what you hear about Africa now. And like you said, there's, a lot more going on and a lot more advancements there, and things are different. And like, you guys are providing a lot of resources around the world, that necessarily weren't talked about in the 90s or early 2000s or whatnot. And so it's interesting. And then having that episode not too long ago with someone talking about the people and the hardworking people there that she has found and she's working with, and I don't know, it was fascinating, and I love it. And then obviously I've known you for several years now, and I just think it's pretty cool. I can't wait. Now it's on my bucket list to go to South Africa sometime soon.
Yeah, pull in, man. You've got a travel agent that lives here, so it's all good.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about let's catch me up on what's going on with you. It's been a minute since we've talked, at least on a podcast anyway. So let's take a walk down memory lane. Let the audience know that may not know Jamie Pierce. Like, what have you been up to? Like, where are you at? Like, take me a walk down and lead me to where you are now.
Yeah, so I exited the previous startup I was in about just over a year ago, actually, and moved along. It was time to move on. There's various challenges there, and I wanted to go and explore a couple of things myself. In that startup, Synatic, I had spent 6 years targeting the US insurance agency market and the insurance market broadly, so carriers too. And we'd really played in the space of data homogenization, moving data between systems, how to integrate, how to aggregate, and it's been a heck of a journey, and learning a lot about the insurance market and understanding it pretty intimately now. I think it gave me an opportunity to kind of explore what I wanted to do. So I've been, as I call it, in the wilderness for a little bit now. I've been seeing what's what. I've been doing quite a lot of contracting for some awesome companies, some really, really good people out there, in very different phases as well. So like a forms engine with Assembly, where they're really early stage startup, like 2-3 people, Certificial, that's mid-stage startup, and then Intrinsic, that is a established business. So it's been quite interesting seeing different businesses across different growth stages and what challenges they're facing and going to market and integrating. So yeah, it's been a very healthy journey for me, spending a bit of time in the wilderness. I think some alone time is good for any human being, and in work life, I think it's good as well. So yeah, but I'm back at it and taking the challenges head on.
Yeah, man. I think it's awesome, and to be able to have that perspective, to be able to step back and say, where you've been on that journey, what you were doing, and what you've learned. And so what has that been? You've had a little bit of some time for reflection and what you've learned and what you've gotten into. What is that, before we get into a whole lot of other stuff, like what has that been like for you, like that reflection time?
Hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
Really, yeah, difficult. Like it's I think I lost myself a little bit in the throngs of a startup and lost what I loved. Um, I lost my body, to be honest. So I've lost 80 pounds since I left Synatic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a proper one. I did another 2 Ironmen, so I got that back on the road. I'd done quite a lot of Ironmen before that, and I did another 2 more since I left Synatic. So yeah, it was time to just get a hold of myself. What I did was I went through a very interesting exercise of, I've experienced multiple startups now, started up multiple things myself. I've been part of a startup, joined a startup, and just really getting to grips of what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, being comfortable with both of those, and then off of that, deciding what I do want and what I don't want, and where I do want to play, and then being proactively intentional about going and seeking what I do want, or going and setting up what I do want. And I think it's been such a healthy process for me. And I encourage everyone, irrelevant to whether it's corporate, startup, you're running your own business, it doesn't matter, to take that time to actually go and introspect and say, like, especially in the age I'm in now, early 40s, I've really got like 1 or 2 more shots at career changes and startups and things. And then I'm kind of moving into the latter part of my career. And really being able to get to grips with, what am I good at? What am I not good at? Comfortable with both of those, and then what do I want and what don't I want.
Yeah, and I think it takes a lot for someone to get to that place of asking those questions and doing those things. And it's funny you talk about the startups and whatnot, and I find it fascinating as I've interviewed, I don't know, I can't remember what number this is. This might be number 300 and something episode of the show, and I've talked to a lot of people that I feel like there's certain people in this world that just love working startup, and they love that fast pace. They love that you know everything has to be done yesterday in that kind of world. And then there's those people that love the established corporate world and the big box company or the larger companies that have that. So it sounds to me like you kind of lean on that side of you like the fast paced startup and having that. Is there something to that for you as far as like an influence thing, or like I feel like you're making a change type of thing, or is it that you're crazy and you just like fast paced life, or both?
So it's a very interesting question. So in that introspection time, what I figured out is one of my mottos in life is be something to somebody that person hasn't had before. So be the brother that's
for the audience.
Be something to somebody that person hasn't had before. So like be the brother that they didn't have. Be the friend that they didn't have. Be the the father that they didn't have. Obviously, I'm talking male gender here, reverse for females. But the point is, there's a great saying which is, you get two types of leaders. You either achieve results through people or people through results. And I'm very much a people through results. I care about the people around me. I want to engage with them. I want to know them. I want to spend time with them, and I want to see them grow. Like my pudding is seeing people grow and seeing people achieve more than they thought they would. That's really what I'm about as a leader. And it's not to say that that's the right leadership style. There are plenty of people who do achieve results through people and prioritize the achievements, and that's cool. Like that's their game, and the world needs people like that, to be honest. It's just not me. I genuinely want to grow a team around me, and that fits most into the startup life cycle. Is you want to grow a team around you, see them achieve more, see them be better every single day, and that's really my game. So a lot of that came through in the introspection journey very strongly. Is this? I care about people. I care about how they grow, what they achieve, and not at a flippant like I care about people in inverted commas in trying to market myself. It's a genuine like I give a damn.
Yeah, and I resonate with that so much, and the fact that I feel the same way, and it's not a gimmick or it's not a thing. Like it's always been something I've cared about, and something that throughout my entire life, I've truly cared about, almost to some people might say a detriment, maybe financially, whatever. But I do care, about people, and I do, as you say, give a damn to the point of, I don't know. I just think people question some decisions I make, or they might question the way I do certain things, because it's like, but I'm not going to, step on somebody, or I'm not going to do this or that, or hurt someone, or do something that feels, for lack of better words, icky, in my response, because, I care. Like you said, I feel the same way. And so, I love that you feel that way. And that's why, I've always had, that connection through the years, and why I've always felt a connection with you on that, because it comes across whenever I've talked to you, and whenever we've met up in person, and we've had some laughs together and whatnot, but I recognize that in you. And I think that's incredible. And so you also, you brought up, someone else who you brought up Certificial, and I interviewed Peter, from Certificial on my show, several years back. And I feel like he has that same spirit as well.
100%. Geez, like he's a good human being. Like
he really is, man. We had a great conversation.
Like proper good. Just one of the most genuine, caring, giving guys that I know. And I mean, I know him at a relatively high level business-wise. I call him a business friend, so we're not friends. I'm not going to go around to his house for a cup of coffee or dinner, but like you get that soulful feel from him. Like, what a dude. I really enjoy doing stuff with him. It's interesting. Certificial's in a very high growth phase, so I would love to be working closely with Pete, but it's not the right time for me to. And I think our paths will cross in some other way. Like I'm really enjoying the contracting work I'm doing there, and I'm enjoying working with the broader Certificial team. They're an awesome bunch of humans. I don't get to spend a ton of time with Pete, but he's just got a really thriving business to look after there, and that's the nature.
Yeah,
of
no,
it.
I couldn't agree more, and that's why I brought him up when you brought that name up. But you brought up Certificial, and it just immediately brought me back. I interviewed him in 2021, so it's been a minute, and so to be able to see, like you said, that fast growth and things are still going so well for him. And I think good guys win, and I love to see that, and so very cool on that. And I think it also puts you in a unique perspective from that contracting thing of like, you may not be at a place where you could join a team officially, but you bring a lot to the table from a consulting standpoint. Because again, you've been there, you've been in this space a minute, and you've brought up with your previous employment of the data and whatnot, and you brought up some of the things that you'd learned, and you'd said you learned a lot during that time. And just a simple question of like, what were some of those things that you did learn about data during that time? Because we've seen a massive push over the last 5 or 6 years on technology and data, and now we're coming into the AI age where data is critical right now, to have good data and to have all that. But again, going back to a simple question before I rabbit trail, what have you learned about data?
I think probably the most fundamental thing I've learned is that it's so hard to get integration and aggregation right. It sounds so conceptually simple, and it sounds so simple to work with data, but is actually intrinsically very complicated. And people think just integrate it or just aggregate it, and it's actually way more challenging than that. I think that's probably the most fundamental thing I've learned. I think secondarily, I would go with the counter of that to put a pull and a push in there is a little phrase FOGS. So it's like FOMO, but FOGS. So FOMO is fear of missing out. FOGS is fear of getting started. I think what a lot of people do is they look at this Everest hill or mountain to climb, and they go like, it's insurmountable. And you got to just put one foot in front of the other, man, because if you don't get going at some point in time, you just are factually going to get left behind. And it's unfortunate in the nature of it. Data's the new oil. If you don't have data, you're not gonna drive.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to, I see two different camps there. I see some of like almost analysis by paralysis, that people will see something new. Let's call it AI. Let's use that example. They'll see the AI, and then they'll spend a ton of time diving in, researching, looking at it. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And they get so deeply entrenched in that it ends up being so much analysis and so much going on that they don't do anything. And it's like they end up getting almost behind the curve on that. But then you got people on the flip side of that, in my opinion, that it's a fear thing. And it's like looking at that mountain, as you mentioned, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit here. And, they don't analyze anything. They don't do anything. They just quit before they even start. And that's not the best wording of it, but it's like, I see those two camps of like too much research into it and then just not at all.
Yeah. It's, and I don't think we as the tech industry do ourselves any favor by just throwing so many bright, shiny objects. And there's a lot of marketing BS out there, and even more so around AI. Like AI's magic bullet's going to fix everything. And like that hype cycle's gone over the top now. Like we are definitely coming to a place where people are getting, AI, just don't say it. Don't put a .ai at the end of your website and think it makes you sound cool. Don't put AI into the first page of your PowerPoint. It just, like, people are getting fatigued by genuinely and saying, because there's just too many bright, shiny objects out there now. And I think, going back to my point, is we as the industry don't do ourselves any favors there by pretending that it's just going to magically solve it and letting the marketing lead too far out ahead of the reality.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's interesting that standpoint that you bring up and the way you look at that, because, on the one hand, you're right. There's a lot of people, that do have that fatigue from AI, and people like even me, like, I love it. I love the conversation. I love being a part of it. I love working with Vertifor as we're digging into that. But I could see people's eyes roll, when I say something about AI or when I mention that. It's like, oh, like you said. But on the flip side of that conversation, AI is going 0 places. Like, it's going to be here and it's going to continue to evolve. It's going to continue to be a huge part of our world, not just insurance, but who we are as a human race. And, so it's hard to ignore it. But at the same time, you're right. We can beat it to death and talk about it too much. So
here's an awesome way of phrasing it. Sorry to interrupt you, but
please.
It's a forefront thought. So here's like a beautiful little nugget. Like, people don't care. Generally, people don't care what you do. And like, if you look at this from a human population point of view, there's 8 billion people in the world. You just can't care about what a lot of people do. They don't care about what your technology does. They don't care about what your business does. What they care about is what your business can do for them.
Right.
So I care about what a technology vendor can solve for me in my day-to-day. And that's a little bit of what the technology industry per se almost has lost. Is if you talk about AI and you talk about how fantastic that it's in your solution, and it's my solution, it's our tool, it's my this, that, and the other, instead of your business problem is solved with this technology by doing this, this, and this for you. It's got nothing to do, like, it's the problem with buzzwords, is it becomes about what I'm doing with the buzzword, not about your business problem that I'm solving. Yes, I'm using buzzwords and technology in the background, but I'm solving your stuff. That's what's important. And that's, I think, what we, when you have those hype cycles, it's what people tend to do, is they get so excited about how much cool technology they have. And they're like, you've missed the target, dude. Like, you have to go back to basics. Like, what are you fixing for the customer?
1,000%. And that's, I'm glad to hear you say that. As I've traveled across the country and spoke at several events, one of the things I was asked to speak on, and I actually developed a 3-hour CE class on this, that I taught recently, about AI and talking about AI, but I didn't want to come from a standpoint of, just AI for AI's sake. Way I wanted to come at it was how to deploy it in your agency or in your business from a standpoint of, before you just go out and, as you mentioned, kind of the shiny object syndrome thing, before you just buy something and just throw it in there, once you sit down and figure out what the challenges are you want to meet with AI, what are the challenges your staff is having with AI? What is the customer having? Yeah. And I think people get caught up in, oh man, this is so cool, everybody's got it, or they had a cool commercial with this celebrity talking about this thing, or whatever it might be, that they lose sight of, do I even need that? Is it even something that we have a challenge with? And so it's almost, the other side of what you were saying, but it's like, before we go out and put something in, do we even need it? And if we do need it, where is it going to be deployed? Where is it, what staff member needs to be a part of that? Where should I do this? What customers are going to be affected by that? But again, I think that too many people get caught up in the shiny object part of it, that they forget the challenges that it could, and the solutions that it could have for those challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I while you're thinking there, like, I'll be at ITC in October, not a shameless plug there, but one of the things that, I'm excited about, but I thought it was fascinating that I was asked to come speak. And the topic that I was asked, I was like, I'm not a tech guy. I am a tech guy, but I'm not. So what are they going to ask me to speak about? And the guy was like, I want you to talk about, the dangers of shiny object syndrome, which I think is fascinating to be at a
Love
10,000 person, there's gonna be thousands and thousands of people at this conference looking for shiny objects. And yet I'm on stage going to be talking about, the, pitfalls and like the dangers of shiny object syndrome. So I think it's exciting. I'm excited about it. And I'm interested in that because I want people, and I can't reach 10,000 people, don't get me wrong, but I want people that go into that conference to recognize, there's a lot of hype there. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of good companies that'll be there. Maybe Certificial will be there, as we mentioned them earlier. I don't know, but good companies that'll be there. But if they don't fit your portfolio, if they don't fit your challenges, they don't fit what you need, don't just go out and buy it just because it's cute.
Yeah, and it's right. You're exactly right. It's a two-sided coin, two sides of the coin there. The tech vendor has the responsibility to present what really, really happens in the business value. The business has the responsibility to say, like, can I extract value from this? Is this the right thing for me? Is this fit for purpose? All those good things. I don't know. You must have spoken to Nicholas Ayers. He's at where's he moved to now? He's been there a while. Glovebox. Yeah, he's been in Glovebox for about 2 years now, I think. He's actually got a great session on YouTube. If you haven't watched it, go look it up after this. Go look for Nicholas Ayers. It's Ayers for those listening. Yep. He's at Glovebox, and look it up on YouTube. It's the 90-day blueprint or something like that, where he literally just says, it's back to basics and fundamentals. Like, here are the 10 questions I would ask if I was sitting in a meeting with the tech vendor. And he's working for a tech vendor. It's Glovebox. So he's saying, like, if you get into a meeting with Glovebox, ask your AE these questions and go for it. So one of the interesting, like, a great question he raises, can you refer me to a customer that's quit your service in the last 6 months? Because everyone loses customers, right? So what he's saying there is, like, will the tech vendor be brave enough to put you in touch with somebody who's quit? And B, what do I want to explore and make sure I don't hit the pitfalls of, so I can go and engage with that person who left? So it's a great idea, and there's a couple of basics in there just around how to engage with tech vendors. And the reality is, for like a lot of mid-sized to small agencies, they don't have a tech person, so they don't know what questions to ask. So kind of sympathize there as well. They've got this massively onerous, intensely paper administrative industry to fit into and try and make money and try to run a business. And then you throw tech in and they're like, but dude, I'm already swamped. So I can see both sides of the coin there as well.
Yeah, 100%. So again, going back to, where you've come from and the startups you've been a part of and the data and the things that you've learned, from that, where's that applying in now as you're working with, some of these, companies, as you mentioned? What are you doing with them now, and what are some of those, I guess, challenges that you're helping them solve right now and that you're working with them on with some of these contracts? If you can let us know a little bit, I mean, not specifically, but maybe some of the high level things that you're working with agencies or carriers or tech vendors on.
So on the consulting side, a lot of go-to-market strategy, a lot of integration strategy, integration execution. So I'm working with both a close friend and a business partner now, Wesley Borain. He's ex-Synatic as well. We kind of started working together when we both left. So we're doing with Certificial, we're working pretty tightly with them on the integration to various AMSs. So they've got, I think it's about 10 different integrations to run between many AMSs. On the intrinsic side, on the Informer side, they go-to-market strategy predominantly. So it's quite different from Certificial. They've got a growing base in the insurance agency market. So working with them on how to go to market, marketing content, etc. And then with Assembly, also integration. So we've just developed capabilities around setting up programs on integration. So kind of fit it into that gap whilst we're figuring out our own way.
Yeah, and being able to take some of that previous experience with data and with APIs and connectivity and whatnot, are you finding yourself in a place where you're enjoying what you're doing right now, and you're happy with them? I mean, obviously you got great people you're working with, but just I guess personally from that, is that a place that you're like, man, I'm really adding a lot of value here, this is something I'm really enjoying doing?
Yeah, I think again it goes back to, interestingly, one of the questions you asked earlier is what did I learn through the process of my hibernation, as it were. And I think what I've realized is, as I am enjoying it, for clarity. So all three of them are great people. I'm even working with some South African businesses on launching into the London market. So I'm enjoying all of the consulting I'm doing at the moment and enjoying the people. I think what it's leading me to is that I recognize that I want to be part of that team and growing a team and be part of growing something, and seeing people achieve more and seeing people grow through that. It's quite difficult to do that from a consulting point of view. So I think as much as I'm enjoying the work, I'm enjoying the people. Consulting, it's a weird space in some ways, because you never really get to go like whole hog. You don't go all the way in, all the way to the bottom of the barrel, and you scrape it and you find all the dirt and all the muck and you lift it up and you go like, yes, I'm in it and I'm fixing stuff. You don't get to that level, where it's the real guts and gore of the business. And that's perhaps what I'm missing, I think. So could I see myself doing this long term? I think probably. Would it totally fulfill me? Probably not.
Yeah, I love to hear that you're in a spot where you're happy there. But yeah, you're right. There's that itch you need to scratch of like, hey, I want to, as you mentioned earlier, I love people. I want to grow a team. I want to be a part of a team. I recognize that I've got these strengths. I'm doing well here. I'm enjoying this consulting. But again, the other thing about consulting is a lot of those times those jobs will end. Once you've done a good job and you've gotten in a good place, then it's contractually that contract will end and you got to move on to something else. So I could totally understand that and where you're coming from there. So I get that completely. You, as you talk about building a team or whatever, is there a certain itch for you of having your own product and maybe having your own business or having your own company that you start?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wesley and I we're building a business together. We're slowly but surely building our tech, and we're getting to grips with what we're building out there. I think it really starts with a pivotal point of the insurance industry, which is just the data is all dirty and it sucks. And if you look at what goes on in the insurance industry, is like, and I can reliably say this as having done a lot of sales work, salespeople suck at putting data into systems. So, and I've thought about this long and hard, is the entire industry starts off with a salesperson capturing data into a system. And therefore, why are we surprised when the lineage of data that then flows from there is at best bumpy? So it's an interesting space where we're looking to play, is to say, well, how can we pull these complex sets of data from many AMSs, cleanse it, and push it back into the AMS. And that's the trick that a lot of people miss. So you'll see a lot of BI solutions. What they'll do is they'll pull the data out and they'll run a data cleanliness report. Like, okay, cool. So what must I do with it then? And that's not to be critical of it. Like, they're doing their job. They're reporting on dirty data. I get it. But still, the question is then, okay, where's my execution point with this? So the trick is to say, how do we pull the data out, edit it in bulk, and then push it back into the AMS? And the additionally interesting point there is, give or take, all AMSs suck at bulk editing. Almost all AMSs. So you can't go through a list of like 100 accounts and fix something on those 100 accounts because those 100 accounts have something wrong with them. And maybe you can on some of the AMSs. I don't know all of them intimately, but from what I've seen, at least, that's a problem. So it's an interesting space where we're extracting this data, and we've started building out. We've got our first couple of test customers going, and we've extracted data out and we started cleaning it, and just simple use cases like the department on the policy doesn't match the department on the customer. Now, that sounds super basic, right? If I were to task you, Heath, with like click into whatever it is, AMS 360, applied Epic, and go and change the department of these 5 policies to match the customer. Sweet, happy days. When you have to do that 100 times over, and it's taking you 5 seconds to find the customer through the search button, 5 seconds to click to the next policy, 5 seconds to click to the next one, etc., the maths of it actually starts to add up super quickly. So dirty data it's astoundingly common in the industry.
Yeah, but you brought up a good point. And again, as a former producer myself, an agency owner and cook, chief bottle washer, whatever you want to call it, like I understand. And as a salesperson, I always hated putting in, like you said, I always hated that. And that was never my strength of putting that in. Most salespeople would admit that. And, but again, 100%. Understanding that, even as simple as, we were doing a project, whatever we were going through, and it's been a while, but even as simple as something, for example, Progressive, that's a common insurance carrier most people know of. Progressive, some of the CSRs in my agency would put in as Progressive. The salespeople might shorten it to PROG. And then there's some other people may put it in as PRG. And then other people may put it in as Flow, whatever it might be. So then you go through and you're trying to find all that just to, migrate it over to a new AMS or a new CRM or whatever it might be. Just that alone is a headache. Like you said, 5 or 6 times, sure. But 100 or 200 or trying to find it in your entire book of business, you're 100% correct. But again, I still feel like no matter what technology or how good it is, again, I think what you're talking about doing is phenomenal. It'd be a great challenge to be able to tackle. But how do you get the people entering the data to understand? Obviously, there's training to go involved there, and I get the answer there. But at high level, I still think it starts with the person entering the data.
Yes and no. So if you look at, and this is where
I love this. Yes, no. Challenge me on that. Yes.
It circles back to the AI conversation and why it's so important to build out a solution for the customer that the customer can see and use tangibly, instead of putting it up in sparkly lights in AI lights. So what I mean by that is, if you look at what AI can do now, and the customer doesn't even need to know there's AI behind this, is you can take something like Prog and Progressive, and you can put that into AI and say, how similar are these names? And you can then go and say, I need to carry a dedupe, or you could have the same issue on the customer side. You could need to customer dedupe, customer name dedupe, whether it's a personal lines or commercial lines, doesn't really matter. And you can actually then assess how close they are and say, hey, Heath, it looks like you meant to put Progressive here. Would you like to update this customer name to Progressive? Yes, I would. Okay. Done. So, sure, your one example there was they put it as Flow. That's that's not going to be as simple. You're going to need to train a little bit and teach the engines around that. But the point resides is when you look at it with the lens of what does the customer need and how do we reverse in AI into that versus here's AI and how do we reverse the customer into it, that's where the beautiful use case starts to happen of like, we can make magic.
I like that. And I think that's definitely a great challenge for you to find a solution for with, with your partner in that and you guys building a team there. And so, I obviously we're at the beginning stages of that. You haven't got a product launched yet, but, I can't wait to continue to see that and maybe have you come back on in several months or 6 months, whatever you do finally get that going. But, is that something, again, this product you're talking about and this idea that you have, I'm sure there's, knowing there's a lot of other use cases for this than just a simple one solution thing. Like you seem like the type of guy that you're going to create something not just for one solution, but for many different many different challenges is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting as well is how the bulk of insurtechs that we've spoken to so far have the exact issue, and they hate the lack of cleanliness of data coming from the AMS. Because what it does is the downstream effect is it makes their systems so much harder to implement. So Certificial struggles with it, Assembly struggles with it, Informer struggles with it. So the guys I'm working with day to day at the moment, they struggle with lack of clean data. I mean, you think about it from Informer's point of view. Informer's got this really powerful reporting engine. They built AI into it so you can chat to your data. It's such cool stuff. Like you can go into Informer Go and you can literally say, tell me about my producers. And it starts listing out like, it's built into AI. So it just starts going like, here are your producers. This is how many policies this person has. This is their premium. This is the commission that's due on those premiums. Like you don't even have to ask it to provide like those insights. It just starts guessing what you may want to know. And then you go and say, tell me more about Heath and the commission he earns. Which carriers does he make the most commission on? Spits out an answer. The problem with that is that that's all predicated on clean data. So it truly is powerful stuff. Like it's really cool. It's like ChatGPT for your AMS 360 or your AMS per se. Like it's really cool what they can do. But if you've got bad data in there, you're not going to. So talking to one of their customers, like I've worked with Scott from Intrinsic to go to one of their customers and say like, what's not just what's your dirty data, what's your dirty data that's negatively affecting your reports in Intrinsic, because that's how you hook them together, right? That's how you get Intrinsic to start saying, well, this is valuable to my customers, so I'm going to work with Jamie to get these things right. And like you get to the bottom of it, like the department example earlier. Different departments on a policy, it screws up their commission calculation. So they can't accurately calculate commission. And you having been a producer, you know what happens then. Like 5 days after month end, you're sending an email saying, where the hell's the rest of my commission, right? And then email tennis starts happening where you bounce up. So it's all that to say, like, it's very interesting to see the different motivators in the industry there. Like a producer wants clean data, the CSR does, but the insurtech also wants clean data to maximize the value out of their system.
Yeah, it affects the entire value chain, from beginning to end. And so I'm so glad that you were able to share some of that with us, and I'll be interested to keep following that, that storyline and that journey for you. And so as we wrap up here, is, as I would love to have a good CTA for you, have people to either reach out to you or call you or find a way to work with you, whether it's, another consulting client or someone might be interested in, maybe beta testing or being a EA for the company you're working with or you're starting, where can my audience jump in to help you? Where can Insurance Town jump in and, be a part of this journey with you? What would you look for that?
Are you asking for an email address? Because I don't actually have one yet. I mean, I got my personal.
No, I'm just asking for like, what would you like the audience to know? Because I know the audience is gonna be listening and they're gonna fall in love with you like I have. Just to be able to say, hey, I want to work with this guy. I want to be a part of this. What would you like for the audience to be able to do, or what would you like for us to be able to do to help you with?
Oh yeah, we'd love for people to be part of the pilot process. I mean, we've got our first 2-3 customers running already, and it's super interesting stuff. So yeah, I mean, the more the merrier on the pilot front. It's gold, and I've yet to meet an agency who's gone and said my data's pristine, clean, and doesn't need any work. It's almost everyone moans about how dirty it is. So I'm more than happy to have an influx of pilot requests.
Yeah, dude. So would you want them to, maybe reach out to an email address there, or reach out to, I know you said you didn't have one set up yet, but a personal one, or
personal email address is Jamie, JAMIE .Peers, PEERS @gmail.com. You can hit me up anytime. We're in an interesting phase where we're evaluating what route to market we take, and there's some exciting stuff there. Potentially looking at partnering with one of the BPOs, one of the mid-sized BPOs. So there's just exciting movement there. So we haven't actually registered the business yet officially. So it's fun times.
Let's see if we can get that personal inbox flooding, and then we'll
bring it on.
And then we'll try to follow back up, here shortly, man. I just really wanted to catch up with you on, the show, and just, talk to you about just some cool stuff, man. And so I appreciate you, and I know the audience will too. It's been a fun conversation, and I can't believe how quickly it's already gone by. It always happens when you and I get to talking. So thank you for joining me today and hanging out with us in Insurance Town. And, for those that have been listening, man, let's not have that fog, let's just get some stuff started, get going on that. And, also, take a look hard at your data, take a look at what you've got going on, take a look at your processes and how you're putting that data in, and really start identifying some of those challenges. If there's anything like that you find, hey, being a part of this pilot program would help me in that, reach out to Jamie. So dude, again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being a part of it, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. Thanks for having me on. Great to chat.
Yeah, dude, for sure.